G'day Internet, Max right here, and today we're going to be discussing the big question here. Is Bitcoin a correlated asset or not? It can make up its mind. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Today we're going to understand exactly how it works, who are the players involved, and why it is the very first asset in the world, I would say, that sometimes behaves like a risk-on asset where the traders love. It's like, the economy's going to be great. Let's go ahead and pile onto these risky type things that have big gains. And sometimes it acts like a safe haven. Everything's going to shit. Well, quick, let's buy Bitcoin. Why does it behave like both of those? And is there a way for us to learn from it and time it so that we can make money? We'll answer that question in this video right here today. Before I get into it, though, I do want to give you a heads up. Immediately after I finish recording this video, I'm going to be recording another video, but it's not going to be one that I can put on YouTube. It's the type of thing that will get the channel shut down. So I'm going to put it up on my new Rumble channel. And so what I would suggest you do is in the description, or Corey, if you can make it a pinned comment, go ahead and click on the Rumble channel. Go and sign up for Rumble account. Get the app on your phone, by the way. I really like the Rumble app. I watch a lot of videos there now. All the best people are there. It's just all the people that got kicked off YouTube that were the best. They're just all on Rumble, and so it's a really good place to go. So check out that. And I'll release the video in a day or two, even though I'm recording it as soon as I finish recording this one. But highly recommend you go and do that, because what that video is going to be about, that's going to be about Ukraine, Russia, big picture, how this all integrates with the Great Reset, what you need to know, how to prepare, how to get yourself set up, and how to be a force for good over the next few years. Really what to expect, because we're going to be getting into some tumultuous times. Okay, so this video, is Bitcoin a correlated asset or not? What's going on? So let's go into it. Once upon a time, 3, 4, 5 years ago, Bitcoin was mainly the people in Bitcoin were mainly the people who understood at a very deep level the monetary system. They were the kinds of people who, they weren't sitting in front of charts. They weren't looking at, should I invest in Twitter today or should I invest in Bitcoin? They're not those types of people. They were the people who had spent years understanding monetary history, watching documentaries, reading books like The Creature from Jekyll Island, understanding the evils of government and corruption, libertarians, those kinds of people. The way they learn was of long, deep understanding, and they weren't in it for the money. We all expected to get rich because we knew what was going to happen, but we were in it for different reasons. In the last kind of 2, 3, 4 years, there's definitely been a transition. There's another player in the market, and they've become a big player in the market. And they really came in at the beginning of last year. That run up when Bitcoin went from 10 grand to 60 grand, and they came in with a lot of money. Why? Because they were the people with a lot of money. They were hedge funds, family offices, big-time investors, people with hundreds of millions, even billions sometimes, in assets under management, and they have entire teams behind them, and they work very, very differently, right? They work differently in the two main ways that I can see. Is one, they're in it for different reasons. They are in it because they're just trying to make money, and that's okay. Nothing against that. That's their mandate, and that's what they're doing for their customers. And I have no problem with that. God bless them. But they're just in it for the money. Secondly, is they have whole teams of research people and things like that, and they react very, very quickly. They're looking for, how do I deploy capital better this minute? Just boom, what do I do? In, out, all those kinds of things. They react quickly, they move quickly, and they're just chasing the best return in the given day, week, month, year. So what does this mean? So now you have a piece of information come along like Ukraine, the Russia-Ukraine situation, and boom, world's at war. Okay, well, we weren't really expecting that, maybe a little bit, but not to that degree, and all of a sudden markets tumble, right? And so people move from a risk, the traders, the ones who move quickly, the hedge fund managers, the people responsible with the huge amounts of money under management, their job is to get out of the markets as quickly as possible for that. And they treat Bitcoin just like an asset, like a Twitter stock or Facebook stock, a Netflix stock, an Uber stock. They're treating it like a risk-on asset. Risk-on asset, in case you don't know what that means, is in the good times, then people want to invest in high-risk assets because the risk-reward ratio is great. When those things go up, they go up big. And so in those times, it's a risk-on environment. You jump onto the risk-on assets, and you get very good returns. They can go down just as quick. In a risk-off environment, you're very good at getting out of the market very, very quickly. That's a risk-off environment. Okay, so that's how those kinds of people trade it. The OGs of Bitcoin and a growing number of people, again, there's a resurgence of this kind of person in the Bitcoin market, is the safe haven person. This is the person who fears that one day they might be caught in a situation like a Ukrainian or a Russian. It's like they can spend 24 hours lined up in front of an ATM, or they have to flee the country all of a sudden and they just can't take gold or wealth or their house or their furniture or their car, but they can take $1 billion, $100 million, or $50, whatever their life saving is, on a thumb drive. Boom, and they can get across the border and they don't have nothing. And so those are the two kinds of groups of people, and they operate very differently in timing. It's the risk-on guys, the professional traders act very, very quickly. They have whole teams, their entire lifestyles, their Twitter feeds, everything is curated to get them financial information very, very quickly. The other guys, they're the guys who watch documentaries for 2 hours and they're blue-collar workers and they're out working, and they get home and they spend their Saturdays, because they're curious individuals, watching the history of money and documentaries and things like that. Two very, very, very different types of people. So when something like Russia and Ukraine happens, the guys who are into Bitcoin this is a tech stock, this is the new big tech thing, and I'm going to make a bunch of money just like I was investing in Facebook, then they're like, this is going to be a risk-off environment. War is on, sell everything, and they're very, very quick to respond, and the price plummets immediately. That same news event, Russia, Ukraine, war, appeals to other people at the exact same time, but they act slower, find out it's slower, and don't have their finger on the sell button at all times like the other guys. And over the next few days, weeks, months, now a whole bunch of new people, they're reading stories. They're like, oh my God, all these millions of people displaced. They crossed the border, and there's a handful of stories there's a shit ton of stories about people losing everything, and there's a handful of stories about people who took their Bitcoin and they're not broke. And now you got people in, Belarus, and you got people in Finland, and you got people in Taiwan, and you got people in Turkey, and you got people, and they're watching this, and they're like, Jesus, sadly, I live in a part of the world where this is a possibility, and I need to take action. And so, boom. And so it's not just people in Russia buying Bitcoin, or it's not just people in Ukraine. It's all the people around them and in similar situations all around the world. There are parts of the world like this in South America. There's Taiwan I mentioned. So there's people all over the world watching this, and they're like, okay, I got to get a Bitcoin account. I got to do some things, and I got to open up, reach out to an exchange and wire money to there. And several days later, they're buying crypto in a big way as a safe haven asset. So this is really, really, really important to understand the timing of this. Here's why. Because you don't want to be in the situation. It's like, Bitcoin's falling, quick, sell. If you can do it quick enough, great. But if you're like a couple days late on this news event, you're like, oh my God, it's been plummeting for 2 days. I can't bear the losses anymore. Sell. Then you're like, then it immediately turns around and goes back up because the safe haven guys jumped in. So really, really important to understand that. Now, how many days does that last? Is it minutes? Is it hours? Is it days? How long does the market go down before the safe haven guys jump in and get up? And that is very much something that just takes a little bit of a feel, a little bit of artistry about it. What kind of news was it? Was it war? Was it interest rates going up? Was it something? What kinds of things happen? And what's going to be the magnitude of each of these things? Is the magnitude of the people going down going to be bigger at the end of the day than the magnitude of the upswing from the safe haven guys? And it's very, very hard to know, but you learn a little bit like that. So war was a big one, and we see here that it was the safe haven guys whose move was bigger than the guys who were worried about risk off in the US markets, right? So that's something that takes a little bit of time and a little bit of expertise to understand and get good at. And like we're all trying to learn here, and so we're all just getting a little bit better at it each. But I think if I articulate that and give you that framework and that model, it's going to really, really help you understand. So I think that's important. In terms of making money, that stuff I just shared with you is going to be important. But what I'm going to share with you with the video I'm about to record now that will be on Rumble, going to be on Rumble in a day or two. That video is going to give you a lot more forecasting for the rest of the year. You'll have a lot more understanding of what's really going on right now with Russia, Ukraine, who's in it. Do we really want to be in it? Do we not want to be in it? Do we want to see it go on more? I say we, I mean US power, not the people. The people, Russian people, Ukrainian people, American people, it's all very, very simple. We don't want to have any part of this nonsense. I'm talking about the elites who are running all of these countries. It's going to be a really, really important video, I think, for everyone to understand. So please go through that effort. Before you do that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment below. Are you excited to hear about the forecasting? About I cannot do it on YouTube, so you're gonna have to go over to Rumble. But let me know in the comments below if you think my assessment is correct, that Bitcoin sometimes behaves like a risk-on asset, sometimes behaves like a safe haven asset. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you think I'm wrong, and then go ahead and click that link and sign up to that Rumble account, and I'll release that video here in the next day or two. Okay, guys, take care. I'll see you soon.